The throaty rumble of my cherry red 1969 Ford Mustang rolling through the pristine streets of Cedar Ridge Estates was apparently the gravest sin this neighborhood had witnessed since someone dared hang unapproved Christmas lights in July. I caught neighbors gawking through half-drawn blinds in my rearview mirror, but I never anticipated the storm that was coming. A man in his late 50s stormed out of a house to doors down, clutching a smartphone like a grenade, hollering about hoodlums and noise pollution. Within days, he was papering the subdivision with flyers accusing me of running a chop shop. And within a month, he was in a courtroom, gripping his whole rule book as the judge handed down a verdict. That left him speechless, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to the start. My name is Lucas, and at 23, I just sold my indie video game, a retro-style racing simulator, to a major gaming company for what my cousins called absurd money. The game, built on my obsession with classic cars, went viral among car enthusiasts. Before I knew it, I was signing deals and dodging recruiter calls from tech giants. With my newfound cash, I did what any gearhead would do. I bought my dream car, a meticulously restored 1969 Ford Mustang, cherry red with white racing stripes. All original parts. The dealer tried to push a modern supercar, but I wanted vintage soul, not flashy neon. I moved back to my parents' place in Cedar Ridge Estates, a sleepy suburb of cookie-cutter houses and manicured lawns, to stay grounded while I worked on my next game. My parents had lived there for 14 years, no drama. What I didn't know was that the HOA president, Harold Vance, ran the place like his personal empire. The trouble kicked off on my second day back. I was waxing my Mustang in the driveway when Harold marched over, wielding a clipboard like a night shield. He wore pressed slacks, a polo with a self-designed HOA badge, and a scowl that could sour lemonade. "Young man," he said, eyeing my car like it was a pile of scrap. "I'm Harold Vance, Cedar Ridge HOA president. I need your vehicle registration, proof of residency, and an explanation for this monstrosity." I explained I lived with my parents and offered to grab the paperwork, but he cut me off. "A car like this doesn't belong in a family neighborhood," he barked. "How does a kid your age afford it? I hope you're not running some illegal garage operation here." His words hit like a slap. I kept calm, saying I was a game developer, but his glare told me he'd already branded me a delinquent. From that moment, Harold made it his mission to drive me out. The fines came hard and fast. First, for unauthorized vehicle maintenance, because I was waxing my car outside designated hours, apparently only 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Sundays. Then, for excessive vehicle noise, even though I never revved the engine and crept through the neighborhood at 15 miles per hour. When those didn't work, he got creative. A citation for my car's provocative color clashing with the neighborhood's neutral palette, another for my tires being too shiny, and my personal favorite, for potentially attracting vandals due to the car's classic status. The harassment escalated. Harold started snapping photos of my Mustang at all hours. I'd wake up at 3 a.m. to see his flashlight bobbing at the edge of our lawn, his phone clicking away. He created a Facebook group, Cedar Ridge Guardians, posting my car with captions like "Day 7 of the Hoodlums Haunted," or "What illegal racket is funding this eyesore?" He even stalked my Twitter, screenshotting posts about my game and twisting them into evidence of shady dealings. A photo of me at a gaming expo became proof of meeting underworld contacts. The campaign hit fever pitch when Harold called an emergency HOA meeting to propose banning all non-standard vehicles. He stood in the community center, presenting a PowerPoint titled "Preserving Cedar Ridge's Tranquility." It featured grainy photos of my Mustang, stats about classic car thefts he'd scrounged online, and a bizarre section claiming my car's rumble could disrupt the sleep cycles of local children. Most neighbors looked uneasy, but Harold plowed on, his voice rising to a near shriek. That's when I decided to fight back. I installed security cameras around our property, covering every angle of the driveway and front yard. The footage was unreal. Harold measuring my car's distance from the curb with a tape measure at 5 a.m., leaving anonymous notes on my windshield, even running his hand along the hood like he was inspecting for contraband. He interrogated our mail carrier, our landscaper, and a pizza delivery guy, demanding to know if they'd seen suspicious car parts at our house. The breaking point came when Harold followed me to a local car show. I was showcasing my Mustang when his voice boomed across the lot, accusing me of running a chop shop and corrupting Cedar Ridge's values. He waved his HOA badge, shouting, "That's him, the gearhead wrecking our community, The event staff had to haul him away as he ranted about neighborhood purity. That night, I compiled my evidence camera footage, Facebook screenshots, and a stack of ludicrous fines and took it to my lawyer, Emily Chan, a harassment specialist. "This is straight up stalking," she said, shaking her head. "We're filing a complaint immediately. We sent everything to the police, who launched an investigation." They interviewed the car show organizers, the delivery drivers Harold had hassled, and neighbors who were growing sick of his tirades. Harold, sensing trouble, doubled down. He printed flyers with my photo, labeling me a dangerous gearhead, and stuffed them in every mailbox. He called 911, claiming my house was a front for illegal car modifications. It was just my cousins visiting for a barbecue. The officers, already investigating him, were not amused. The whole board started to crumble. The treasurer resigned when Harold demanded he freeze my parents' dues until I left. The secretary quit when he pushed her to sign a petition to evict my family. Even his buddy, Carl, distanced himself after Harold suggested hiring a private investigator to tail me. A judge granted me a restraining order, barring Harold from coming within 500 feet of me, my car, or our property. When the sheriff served him, he scoffed. "This is my neighborhood. I'm the HOA president." The sheriff explained the order trumped his HOA title, but Harold brushed it off, convinced he was untouchable. His defiance lasted 5 days. My cameras caught him in a baseball cap and sunglasses, slipping a note into our mailbox. "You think you're smart, but I know your game. Get out, or it gets worse." I called the police. Within an hour, they were at Harold's door, cuffing him as he screamed, "I'm protecting Cedar Ridge. He's the criminal." His wife stood in the doorway, mortified as neighbors gathered to watch. The charges were serious: harassment, stalking, violating a restraining order, making threats, and filing false police reports. At his arraignment, Harold pleaded not guilty and insisted on representing himself, ignoring his lawyer's warnings. The trial was a disaster for him. He claimed my Mustang was a symbol of rebellion, called his 3 a.m. photos community safety checks, and argued his flyers were protected speech. Witnesses, the car show staff, neighbors, delivery drivers described his obsessive behavior. I testified about my game's legitimate sale, showed bank records, and explained how Harold's campaign had disrupted my life. The judge zeroed in on the Facebook group and flyers, clearly unimpressed by Harold's free speech defense. Meanwhile, the HOA held an emergency meeting, with Harold sidelined. The board voted to remove him as president, reimburse my fines, and issue a formal apology to my family. The new interim president, a former board member, delivered the apology letter and check in person, saying, "We're sorry. This isn't what Cedar Ridge stands for." The verdict came on a rainy Tuesday, guilty on all counts. The judge, exasperated by Harold's lack of remorse, sentenced him to 18 months in prison, likely less with good behavior, 3 years of probation, $20,000 in fines and restitution, and mandatory counseling. He was banned from HOA boards for 10 years. As the bailiffs led him away, Harold shot me a look of pure venom, muttering about injustice. Cedar Ridge felt calm again, my Mustang leaning in the driveway, its rumble no longer a crime.